So what if I told you that the biggest difference between most amateur golfers and tour players is the ability to do this? So control the launch angle on the irons, but most importantly, to de-loft them to give that powerful shot with lots of control. Now I know what you're thinking. Why would you want to de-loft your clubs? So if I take my 7-iron, it's got 32 degrees of loft, but we could see there I turned that into 16.4. So the tour players, even though they'll set up very similar to how I see a lot of club golfers, at impact they're very different. So you'll see much more pressure into that lead leg, and you'll see the body more turned out the way. That creates more shaft lean, but not only is it de-lofting the golf club, it's getting the lowest point ahead of the ball so that we hit ball and then ground and compress the golf ball. I know we hear a lot about that, don't we? But the more you de-loft a club, the more you compress the ball and get speed into the ball to make it go further. So I'll be honest, that first one was just a smidge thin. So predominantly what I would look at with my 7-iron is from that address position, I'd rehearse that feel, so move into the lead side, turn my body out of the way. And even though that's happening very quick at impact, I want to try and get that feel as I hit the ball. Bit more like I would want to feel. So we can see 19.5 degree launch angle, low point 1.4 inches ahead. Clubs move down 2 degrees, carry at 159, total at 166. And as pleased as I am with that, the best players in the world actually get their low point a bit further ahead, club travels down more, and they de-loft it even more than me. But I just don't see that with most amateur golfers. So they might get into a decent address position, but we definitely don't see this as an impact position. We tend to see more of this as an impact position. And the shot we tend to see is we hit way behind the golf ball. The launch angle's super high, so we can see low point 2.2 inches behind. Clubs travelled up 2.8 degrees, launched at 23, carried at 115. And if we don't fat it, they tend to miss the ground, thin it, or top it. So if you want to improve that ball striking, you have to learn how to get into that more powerful impact position. Now, I had a golfer in kind of mid-handicapper last week, and he said, and again, it's just misunderstanding. He said, I want to be here at address, but I want to be here at impact. And we're just not, that's not a position the body gets into. We can see my hips are still very square, my shoulders very square. What we're wanting to do is move the weight forward, turn the hips out of the way, and we can see down the line there, hips much more open to the left, and we see face on much more kind of into that left side. And I think it is great just to rehearse that feel. But I think for a lot of golfers, they maybe struggle to get both bits going. So the first bit I would work on would be, once you get into the top of your backswing, you want to feel like you fall towards the target, hit some shots, and not worry too much where this goes. Just try and feel that ball and then ground contact. I can see there my low point 3.3 inches ahead, clubs travelled down 4 degrees, launch angle at 16 degrees, and again, 155 carry, 163 total. So that felt more exaggerated for me with that feel, and that's definitely what I struggle with. But you might be one of those golfers that when you first do that, as you hit the ball, you see we're nice and square. That's going to go over to the right. Once you've done a few of those, feeling like you fall towards the target. Such a lovely, powerful feel off the club face. And again, 3 inches ahead, 4 degrees down. Very consistent with those numbers. But then, if you are one of those golfers who's just missing it out to the right, everything's still pretty square. Then as I turn everything out of the way, we can see how that club face squares up. So, out of these two movements, the hip out of the way is not the one I really struggle with most of the time. So I'm now going to try and fall towards the target, clear the hips out of the way, and can we start de-lofting that club like the best players in the world. So poor strike, not having that as 11.7. So 1.1 ahead, club down 1 degree, definitely thin, didn't love that one. But this is the beauty with practice. Don't always judge off strike, have I done what I wanted? Movement felt decent, I just didn't hit the ball how I wanted there. So again, towards the top, fall towards the target, get that lead hip out of the way. It felt much more solid. So we can see 88 mile an hour, a little bit overdrawy for me, but low point nearly 3 inches ahead. Club down 3.5 degrees. Love that launch angle. And again, carry and total decent. Now, like I said, the best players in the world are de-lofting their clubs when the ball's on the ground. Undoubtedly, people comment about this, but I'm just going to mention it anyway. I'm not necessarily saying every single golfer wants to take as much loft off as possible. So if I were to turn my 7-iron into 10 degrees of loft, the ball can only continue on that trajectory for so long relative to my club head speed. So what I would say is if you are somebody who swings a little bit slower, I still want you to feel exaggerated with it. But you might find it costs you distance at some point. But as long as the low point's ahead, if you do swing a little slower, you're still de-lofting, but the ball's going to launch a little bit higher, and you're still going to start maximising those distances with reasonably consistent shape from moving the low point ahead, getting the club travelling down, and compressing the ball. So, I've mentioned their low point and the club travelling down. This is what golfers mean, even though they might not know it, when they talk about hitting down. So if the low point of my swing's up here, the club's travelling down as it collects the ball to the low point. I don't want you just there hitting down. Because if the low point's back here, I think you can work that out, it's not going to be a great shot. But we're going to get to the top, fall towards the target, clear out the way, and we can set up, make a good swing, and even though it doesn't feel like I'm generating lots of club head speed, I'm getting more and more ball speed into there, so still hitting the ball as far, even though the club head speed is less. And then, as the cherry on top of the cake, can you swing quicker and maintain that? Because that would be perfection, wouldn't it? So I'm now going to try and generate a little bit of speed, but with move towards the target and clear out the way. So not quite as de-lofted, but much more club head speed, lots more ball speed, low point nicely ahead, and I just want that every time. So like I said at the start of the video, really the big thing I see at impact between the best players in the world and most club golfers is from address. The best players in the world are on that left side and they're out the way, so they create lots of shaft lean and they de-loft the club. Most golfers, even if they are de-lofting it, there's no shaft lean or even going back. They struggle with strike, struggle with distance, struggle with control. And I know if I'm going to play good golf and you want to play good golf, which one of those two impact positions you need to be getting better at.